Good evening. Welcome to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen meeting for Monday, July 27th, 2020. We welcome all those that are viewing and watching us via stream. And again, this is one of our virtual meetings here in Germantown, but nevertheless, one of the Board of Mayor and Aldermen meetings this evening. This meeting is called to order. I'd like to ask for our City Administrator, Patrick Lawton, to lead us in invocation, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Let us pray. Dear God, we seek your help with our affairs today. Bless this meeting with your divine intelligence and help us make the best use of our own. We are of diverse opinion here, yet we wish to mend our differences and reach agreement satisfactory to all. Please share a little of your wisdom with us to help us do the right thing by all concerned. Thank you for your heavenly blessing. Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Lawton, for the invocation this evening. That brings us to item 3 on the agenda, reading the statement into the record regarding electronic meetings here in the state of Tennessee. All local governing bodies in the state of Tennessee have been impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. Germantown is no exception. In an effort to carry out its governance and operational responsibilities lawfully and effectively, while also considering the protection of public health, safety, and welfare, the Germantown City Administration has taken steps to conduct Board of Mayor and Aldermen meetings and other public meetings electronically. These actions were taken in response to Governor Bill Lee's Executive Order number 51, an order extending Executive Order number 16, previously extended by Executive Order number 34, which suspended the requirements of the Tennessee Open Meetings Act to the extent necessary to allow governing bodies subject to the act to meet and conduct essential business by electronic means. The Germantown Board of Mayor and Aldermen has determined that meeting electronically is necessary to protect the health, safety, and welfare of its citizens in light of the COVID-19 pandemic. Further, notice of such electronic meetings has been and will continue to be published in the same manner as is currently used for regular meetings. The public is also and will continue to be able to view the agenda and have live access to the actual meetings by electronic means by logging into Germantown's webpage and by clicking the appropriate link. Video recordings of the meeting will be made available as soon as practical after each meeting on the city's website at www.germantown-tn.gov. These measures are temporary and are due to expire on August 29th, 2020, unless further action is taken by Governor Lee. I'd like to ask our city clerk, Clerk Betty, if you could call the roll of the Board of Mayor and Aldermen to establish a quorum.
Alderman Gibson.
Here.
Alderman Sanders.
Here.
Alderman Owens.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Yonda.
I'm here too.
Alderman Massey is absent.
Thank you. Thank you for calling the roll this evening. That brings us to item 4 on the agenda this evening, setting the agenda. The agenda was published and presented to the public on Wednesday of this week, or of the prior week. And at this time, is there a motion to accept and adopt the agenda as presented to the public?
Mayor, I'd like to propose an amendment if I could.
Sure.
Would it be, if the board is willing, I know that there will probably be the developer and possibly some of his consultants on the line for the rezoning and maybe some staff members as well who might not have to sit through the budget of the final reading of, the first reading of the budget. So perhaps we could move that third reading or rezoning, which is item 9, ahead of item 8.
So it would stay on the regular agenda. You would just switch the order of presentation. Is that your motion?
That is correct. I don't think it'd be appropriate to put a rezoning on the consent agenda, but yeah, if we could just move it up ahead of the budget.
Without opposition?
Fine with me.
Your recommendation is duly noted and accepted. We will, clerk, if you could make note that we will substitute items 8 and 9. So obviously 9 will become 8 and 8 will become 9. And so we will reverse that order. Hearing no opposition, it is concluded. Is there a motion to accept and adopt the preliminary agenda as modified?
Move to approve.
There's a motion by the Vice Mayor. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Owens. Please call the roll.
Alderman Sanders,
Yes.
Alderman Gibson,
Yes.
Alderman Owens,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Yonda.
Yes.
The agenda has been adopted and established for this evening's meeting. That brings us to item number 5 on the agenda this evening, approval of the minutes from the regularly scheduled meeting held on Monday, July 13th, 2020. The minutes were presented to the public earlier this week when packets went out to the public and to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen. Are there any adjustments, changes, modifications at this time? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
Move to approve.
It's a motion by the Vice Mayor, and there's a second by Alderman Sanders. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right, thank you. Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Gibson,
Yes.
Alderman Owens,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Yonda,
Yes.
Alderman Sanders.
Yes.
The minutes have been approved by the board. That brings us to item 6 on the agenda, citizens to be heard. Citizens to be heard is an integral part of these meetings, and the community has the ability to send an email to a dedicated citizens to be heard email address at the City of Germantown beginning Wednesday and concluding Monday, BMA Monday at noon. Are there any citizens to be heard emails for this week, Clerk Betty?
No, Mayor, no one came forward.
Thank you. That concludes citizens to be heard for this meeting. That brings us to the preliminary agenda. Preliminary agenda is presented to the public as well when the packets go out to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen and to the public. On the preliminary agenda this evening, item 7A, contract amendment number 1, bulk asphalt mix. Item 7B, development contract 1233 and 2100. I'm sorry, for 2100 and 2120 Exeter Road building and parking lot expansion. Item C, donation Shelby County 911. Item 7D, insurance recovery and expense ADA entrance Germantown Athletic Club. Item 7E, resolution 20R06, public entity partners grant programs participation. Is there a motion to accept the preliminary agenda and approve the preliminary agenda as presented?
Move to approve.
It's a motion by the Vice Mayor. Is there a second?
Second.
It's a second by Alderman Owens. Please call the roll.
Alderman Owens,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Yonda,
Yes.
Alderman Sanders,
Yes.
Alderman Gibson.
Yes.
The preliminary agenda is approved. We move to the regular agenda as was motioned earlier and without opposition. The first order of business will be item 8, which again will be formally item 9. That is ordinance 2020-6, rezoning of a 3-acre parcel from residential estate to R, low density, single family residential, third and final reading. Director Ross, are you making a presentation this evening?
Mayor, Sarah Goraleski will be presenting the item this evening. I'll turn it over to her.
Thank you. You have the floor, Sarah.
Sarah, you're muted.
Sorry about that. I am going to pull up PowerPoint here. Just one moment, please. Okay, can everyone see the screen with the PowerPoint?
Affirmative.
Yes, thank you.
I can see it, but
Okay,
It's filling
So-
up I can see it, but it's filling up I'm only seeing a quarter of it or half of it.
okay.
Is everybody else seeing the whole thing?
No, I'm seeing just partial.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
super
Large,
enhanced.
yes.
Okay, I've got my book.
Okay, Mr. Ross, would you mind putting up the PowerPoint presentation then? Okay. If not, then I will try it again. I don't know why it was only doing a quarter of that. I apologize. Is that any better?
That, it's also enhanced.
You
Okay.
had it there for a second, Sarah, then it filled the whole screen.
Sarah, hit escape and just come out of presentation mode. And yeah, you can just maybe just run through it that way
Yeah.
and click on each slide and that'll just work for the purpose of this meeting.
Okay, the way it is now? Okay.
Yes.
All right, apologize for technical difficulties. Anyway, the item before us is the ordinance 2020-6. It is the rezoning of a 3-acre parcel from RE to RE1 residential estate to R single family residential. It is located east of Forest Hill Irene, about 1,400 feet from Forest Hill Irene Road. As you can see here, it is the northeastern corner of that property. The reason to grant a rezoning, there are 3 bases to grant a rezoning: whenever the public necessity, convenience, general welfare, or good zoning practice justifies such action, mistake in the original zoning, or change in the neighborhood. This rezoning was first recommended for approval on May 5th by the Planning Commission. The first reading before the BMA was on June 8th, and the second reading and public hearing was on July 13th. It is known as the Wilder Plan rezoning. The parcel that you see before you was originally part of a 38-acre parcel, and which was annexed into Germantown in 2000. In 2017, this 38-acre parcel, which I will go back to up here to the zoning map you see here, was approved to be a new public elementary school and office building for GMSD. Both buildings have been finished and are operational on that hatched parcel that you see there. The 3-acre parcel that is part of this request, that you see in black there, has remained undeveloped. In 2018, the BMA approved a rezoning of a property to the north called the Reeve Schaefer property from RE1 to R. The property owner intends to develop it as single family residential. On February 24th of this year, the BMA approved a land exchange agreement, which included the following. GMSD would deed 3 acres of the subject property that you saw before, the large hatched property, to Taylor Land Investors with the intent to be incorporated into single family residential projects to the north. Taylor Land Investors would then deed 5 acres of the property to the north along the railroad tracks in Poplar Pike for city utilities. In order for the subject property to be developed consistently with the proposed development to the north, the applicant is requesting that these 3 acres be rezoned to R. And here I will give you a picture of what that entire development could look like if this 3-acre parcel is rezoned to R. So that concludes staff's presentation. We're available for questions if you have any.
Thank you, Ms. Gorleski, for the presentation this evening. Is there a motion to approve ordinance 2020-6 on 3rd and final reading?
So moved.
Second.
There is a motion by Alderman Owens and a second by Alderman Gibson. Alderman Owens, would you like the floor, sir, for discussion?
I really have no additional comments beyond what I stated at the public hearing and first reading, Mayor. I think that the rezoning is justified, and I'll leave it at that.
Thank you. Your words were eloquent. Would you, Alderman Gibson, like to have the floor?
No, sir, I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you. Floor is open for discussion. Please call the roll.
Alderman Owens,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Yonda,
Yes.
Alderman Sanders,
Yes.
Alderman Gibson.
Yes.
Motion carries and is approved after 3 readings. And I'd just like to say on behalf of administration and the mayor's office, we're very grateful to Mr. Duke for bringing forward a proposal to, I guess, satisfy many needs that the city had as far as public parkland, public safety area for a much needed water tower, and then also the ability to create a new neighborhood by a wonderful new school. So just let the record state that. That concludes that particular item. We move to item 9, and if you remember, that was formerly item 8 on the agenda, ordinance number 2020-1, ordinance to adopt the FY21 budget, first reading. Mr. Lawton, I'll turn it over to you. If staff is presenting, you can announce who that is. Mr. Lawton?
Mayor, actually, I'll make the presentation here for first reading, but staff is available for any questions, including the budget team and all the department heads and myself as well. Over the past 5 months, our national economy has experienced a financial crisis, the size and scale not witnessed since the end of the Great Depression, all brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic. Germantown's local economy has not been spared the troubles that are overwhelming the economy at every level in our country. In mid-2019, when this body adopted the FY20 budget, we began the fiscal year with a conservative, balanced budget and one that anticipated excess revenues over expenditures by the end of the fiscal year. However, in anticipation of a dramatic drop in all elastic tax revenues with the onset of COVID-19, and to avoid what surely would have been a deficit for the fiscal year ending in June of this year, the city administration halted all discretionary spending, canceled capital design contracts, reduced street paving and infrastructure replacement projects. And this action allowed us to preserve our reserves not only for FY20, but to balance the budget for the end of the fiscal year. Action by this body in May regarding the continuing budget resolution allowed staff the opportunity to more fully evaluate the continuing economic impact of the pandemic as we look to reopen portions of our economy under the Back to Business guidelines. I developed at that time a team of employees in mid-April to assess our local economy with 2 primary tasks. Number 1, assess the impact that this economic contraction would have on our key industries in Germantown. And number 2, assess the fiscal impact of the contraction on local revenues and spending. This work, staff's work in both of these areas was discussed with the Board of Mayor and Aldermen in a work session earlier this month, and it also forms the basis for our revenue estimates and expenditures for the proposed FY21 budget before you on first reading. In summary, Mayor and Board, the proposed budget for FY21 totals $155,479,472 and is a 15% reduction from the prior year. The general fund operating budget, the largest of our funds, is $57,103,123 and represents a 6% reduction from FY20's budget. The enterprise funds, including utilities, the Germantown Athletic Club, the Stormwater Fund, the Great Hall, and the Solid Waste Collection Fund, total $21,558,761 and represents a 12% reduction from FY20. The internal service funds total $2,093,703, and that represents a 6% increase over FY20. The special revenue funds included in the packet before you total $70,288,885, of which the Germantown Municipal School District is the largest component at $64,743,963. And those funds also represent an 8% reduction from FY20. And finally, the city's capital improvement budget proposed for fiscal year 21 totals $435,000 and is an 80% reduction from the FY20 budget. The motion before the board this evening is to approve the budget on first reading and to set Monday, August 10th, 2020 for the second reading and the public hearing. The packet of information was delivered to you prior to our work session on the entire document. If you have any questions about the budget material before this evening or anything contained in the information for the proposed FY21 budget provided by staff, myself, Finance Director Adrienne Royals and her team on the budget team are available to answer any questions that you may have. We also have department heads available for questions if the board has anything specific about an expenditure in their department. And then overall, if you have questions about our revenue estimates, we can address those as well. Mayor, that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Lawton, for the presentation on the FY21 budget. Is there a motion to approve on first reading Ordinance 2020-1, establishing the FY21 proposed budget and set Monday, August 10th, 2020 for the second reading and public hearing? Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
There's a motion by Vice Mayor. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second by Alderman Owens. Vice Mayor, would you like the floor at this time?
No, I'll pass for right now. Thank you.
Alderman Owens, would you like the floor, sir, at this time?
Mayor, I'm going to reserve my comments for the public hearing.
Thank you, Alderman. The floor is open for discussion.
Mayor, I just have.
Alderman Sanders, yes, you're recognized, sir.
Thank you. I have a couple of comments. I've been reviewing the budget since we received it, and I've been attempting to contact staff. I'm not complete with my due diligence, but I do have some concerns that Ms. Royals is working on, and I also spoke with Ms. Beasley about the parkland acquisition. Approval of that in the CIP this year, I think, leads us to an approximate $6 million spending in future years to purchase the land and work on the drainage and infrastructure, and then still with the $6 to $7 million expenditure of taxpayer money, I'm told that likely the project couldn't be complete without buy-in and public-private partnership from a business to help complete the construction of the facilities there. So I'm not prepared tonight to present any amendments to this budget, but tonight I won't be able to support the budget until I complete my due diligence and prepare those motions and present them to the rest of the body.
Thank you, Alderman. Further discussion? Any further discussion?
Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, go ahead.
I would, rather than waiting for the public hearing, I've said many times before, the budget's one of the most important things that we do as aldermen, and because of that, what we do chronicles the present, what we're doing right now, but it also charts our future. And to thank our citizens who participated so far in this process, our Financial Advisory Commission. Any citizen that has reached out and provided information or input, that is welcome, and will be up until the third and final reading, as always. Like many of my colleagues, I've also reached out to our budget performance team, our finance director, department heads, and this is actually my sixth budget that I've been honored to be a part of as an alderman. And when I look at this budget in this particular moment in time, with extenuating circumstances, the world is a different place than what we would have imagined even just a year ago. When I look at this budget, I'm grateful that we've already been given a roadmap for what is important, what our values are. And so for us to be able to support public safety, keep our citizens safe, be financially responsible, and wisely invest in the future of those who are going to come after us. That's what I believe the budget is supposed to do, and that's what I believe that this budget does. The process does look a little bit different this year. We would normally talk with department heads. I would normally talk with department heads over coffee or a conference table. And so we've all gotten very comfortable with Zoom or Google Meet. But the questions at the end of the day are still the same. What are the tools that you need to provide the citizens of Germantown the exceptional services and programs that you come to expect? What drew you here? How can we provide that for you at the same time being good stewards of your money? And if we've learned anything about budgets, we've learned that we can do anything. We just can't do everything, and we certainly can't do everything at once. Someone very wise once told me that years ago. We have to find balance, and that was actually, I don't know if you can see it. I literally, every time I came up with talking about this particular budget, it's about a balance. And I know that that's a struggle that we have each year. I think the difficult part that we have with this one is that it is not just slim for one particular area, it's slim for all. And so I want to make sure that as we talk about balance, that we are very thoughtful and deliberate in how we go about that. And so I'll defer until next week. Again, we're all doing our due diligence. It's one of the things that we so appreciate about the budget performance team, city administration, to be able to get in there and ask those questions of not only the financial folks, but really of those that are doing the work. And so, Mayor, I'll leave it at that for now.
Thank you, Alderman. Further discussion? Vice Mayor Yonda, were you wanting to chime in?
I was going to say very good job by my colleague. We just never have enough money for everything that we want. It's the FAC. I don't know if you guys, it's a funny thing. We talk about paving. It's really important to the FAC, but sometimes it just has to be cut. We just don't have enough money. There's so many other things, our infrastructure in the future. We have 3 wells down right now. It's just, there's things but we can do it without it. But there's a lot of things in here that to maintain our services. I've looked at it. I've been having the ladies actually it's all ladies, isn't it? They give me some extensions on the GL accounting lines, so I know what specifically it is. I do have some more questions. Luckily we're funding police more than we have been in the past. We're funding our fire more. Public services, I wish we could fund them more. We need more people there. We're going to be a bigger city. We have tremendous needs in that area, in my opinion. But Parks and Rec, you guys all know that this is a special area for me. That is what brought my children back to the city of Germantown. The Parks and Rec programs, we've got a master plan. We really need to start looking at that and how we're going to fund that, because before you know it, we'll be putting it off and kicking the can down, and we won't have anything going on with the Parks Master Plan, which in the 2016 election was a big issue. Parks were a big issue in that election, the last time I was elected. So I think it's important. I really appreciate what the FAC has done under these circumstances. I appreciate what our budget and finance people have done. They've done a great job. I do want to take a look and ask a couple more questions on some things before I bring up other items that I think we need to take a strong look at. But you know what? We only have so much money, and I appreciate it very much, what they've done with the money we have. But maybe we'll look out at the end of the year. Who knows?
Mayor, if I could make a comment.
Yes. Thank you, Vice Mayor. Yes, Mr. Lawton.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to thank the board for the continuing budget resolution you passed in May. That really gave us the opportunity to sit back and truly study the impact of COVID in those early months of spring without having to make any drastic or draconian cuts, whatever you want to call them, without having the knowledge of what our revenues look like. Because of that, and our commitment to preserve core services and values, those are contained in the budget. Also, the city's AAA bond rating. We want to make sure that our financial policies are adhered to. We want to continue that momentum. And just a reminder, the way we do business in the city of Germantown, we're one of only 4 cities in the country who can say that they have obtained the Malcolm Baldrige Quality Award. So performance, process, excellence every day is what we do and what we try to deliver in this document. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Lawton. Further discussion on this item? That's good. Clerk, please call the roll. Let me just remind the board, we are just moving this from first reading to second reading and public hearing. Oftentimes, that's not a vote of affirmation or condemning the budget. It's moving it to the next phase and the next process. Clerk, please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Yondo,
Yes.
Alderman Sanders,
No.
Alderman Gibson,
Yes.
Alderman Owens.
Yes.
Budget passes, the item passes, the budget moves to second reading and public hearing, which is scheduled for August 10th of this year. And we look forward to the board getting with staff, department heads, city administration with any questions that you may have on the budget or any of the programs that the budget brings forward. I will tell you this, that our administration is committed to giving you all the information that you possibly could need to make and formulate a decision. We also strive to make sure that our programs, our projects, everything associated with our budget is as balanced as possible, and not just balanced in the sense of not being a negative, balanced meaning that all offerings are taken care of and all services are provided. We have reached the conclusion of this meeting this evening. We stand adjourned. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you all.